Quick notes before the video starts. Firstly, you can find a link in the description leading to challenge, where there are all of the standings about this World Cup. And secondly, the third game of this video is absolutely amazing. I consider it as a personal masterpiece, and it was extremely well played from both players. So make sure you stick until then. Enjoy the video. What is going on, everyone? Balguard here, and today I'm back for some more content from the Heroes of the Legion 2021 World Cup. So my opponent here today is going to be Bside, where we played our games, and we are going to go through the replays. But before we do that, let's take a quick look at the standings. So, very briefly, Germany has one match left to play. It's me versus Bside, and Middle Europe also have one match left to play, Kashuro versus Wese. And the idea is that the more games, the more points Bside gets fighting against me, the harder it will be for Wese to get his team in the top 4. The destiny of these two teams only relies on these two players, on their opponents, of course. So it's a crucial match for Germany. It is not for me. We are already qualified, but for the sake of sportsmanship, I will play my best against Bside, despite the fact that he's a good friend of mine. So let's take a look at the lineups. I am playing, as usual, Exodus, Vulkan, and Ahriman. And Bside has a very similar lineup. He also plays Vulkan and Ahriman, but he also plays Perturabo. No Perturabo deck available. So, overall, it looks like a very rock, paper, scissors match. Because on the paper, and especially on ladder, Ahriman beats Vulkan, Vulkan beats Exodus / Perturabo, and Perturabo / Exodus beats Ahriman. Also, Exodus is favored against Perturabo. But it's not exactly like that, just because it's a tournament and we can take our decks against our opponents. So I can take my deck against Bside's Perturabo, I can take my Vulkan against his Ahriman, and I can take my Exodus against his Vulkan. And he can do the same, basically. So, before we get started, let me take a look at the list. I decided to bring up Exodus because I feel like Vulkan is the warlord we want to play last. Because Vulkan is the easier to take against anything. So we want to know what we want to expect, what we're going to be facing before we bring Vulkan into play. So I'm kinda expecting him to not play Vulkan, and so the most consistent warlord, the one with two favorable matchups, is Exodus. So he's the one I decide to go for. So I go with double harrowing, because if Ahriman has a big hand and he can't play his cards, it's gonna be very useful against him. I probably should have played the little tutu, the Seriario squad. Probably should have done that. I just put Ravage City instead. Yeah, probably it would probably be better. Anyway, 2 of Menace, so that we can handle his aggression and his burst in the late game. I'm the Thunderhawk, of course, and head of the squad. Maybe not the best card, but I wasn't entirely sure of what to bring instead of that. So, I was really expecting that. If thinking against Perturabo, I don't really need to take. Oh yeah, that's also obviously why I play Ravage City, just in case he decides to bring Perturabo. But, without further ado, let's jump into the game. So here's my opening hand. I don't keep harrowing because I will need other things earlier. I keep Serpent Squad and Lectitio, obviously, no need to explain that. I get my Ghost Legionary, which is good. He gets to play first, which is slightly annoying, but we can live with that. He has the Marshal turn 1, and already that's a very bad news because I absolutely can't get rid of that. I don't have my Melgator Ambassador. I would have kept it probably in my opening hand. So here I decided to keep my False Flag, 2 reasons for that. First, I'm expecting him to play Patterns of Fight right now, when I kinda want him to not get the Serpent Squad. and second, I want to keep it for my own service. But he doesn't go for the Pattern of Fate. No, I understand why he face bashed on 1. It's because he has the Pen to Dust. So, very good opening hand for him. Let's see if I can manage to turn the steam back. So I go for the Likishu, of course. This is gonna go into 4-5. I get my escapement. I'm not gonna use it just yet on my Ghost Legionary. And I decide to go for a face bash because despite the... I'm kind of hoping that he needs to send his Pen to Dust here, and that I can finish it up with my Fortunatus Veterans. Unluckily for me, he has the Sigmafy, and so he can develop a board, completely, well, jam my thing, that's what it is, and he can start up healing. So now, I don't have any way of getting rid of that, and my threat number 1 is gone. So I decided to, I can't really go face anymore. I will have to turn the steam anyway at some point in the game, and my biggest chance is to survive until Odin's Core and Ahriman in the late game. He will heal up and heal up and heal up, so I can't really do anything about that. He gets the Mortar, so the curve, his curve is still very nice. He hits my 3-2, which is slightly annoying, but on the other hand, I couldn't kill that even if it survived. So now I just I play Escapement on my support squad, hoping to get the trade here next turn, probably, and hoping that he doesn't have his action blow to get rid of it next turn. I can make it reasonably big next turn. He goes for the Patterns of Fates, and here I'm kinda expecting a Ghost Legionary to hit the board, but he doesn't do anything, so I'm assuming that he probably copied the Elephant Veterans. And here this Maker's Cabal is extremely annoying. I absolutely can't get past it. I don't have any direct damage in my hand, and it really sucks. Maybe I could have just taken the Seek and Destroy in the deck. It could actually make sense, but it was so terrible against Perturabo, and it doesn't feel good when you have a Seek and Destroy, in your opening hand. So here, it's a shame that he doesn't have 6 cards in hand. It's a shame that I'm not Farius to give him his extra card. My Herodon squad wouldn't be in camouflage, so I can't play that. So I'm just gonna go with the 2 Astartes, and I decide to stun his Lord Martial so that he can't play a Doombringer or whatever this turn. He does have the Ashen Blow to get rid of my 7 squad, which is highly annoying, and here he gets +3 attack and Bloodthirst. And I'm not gonna blame RNG for that, because even without the Bloodthirst, I was in such a dire spot that I would have probably lost this game. So he keeps going. The Anchor here fits perfectly the curve, and so yeah. The good news is I can finally get rid of that, but the bad news is, well, he still has a 6-3 Helios Mortar Carrier, and I'm only at 5 health. Because of course he swings, he was still above 30 against Alpha Legion on turn 6, which just shows how bad the game was going. So I do this, he copied the Ghost Legionary and not the Fortunatus Veterans, which kind of makes you think that he probably believed that I was using Death Side or something, and he was actually correct. So pretty much the only chance I had was that I was running Death Side for some reason, and I high rolled 4 everywhere, and that was pretty much my only out this game. So when I go for that, there's not much I'm hoping for. The only good news is he can't play. The only good news are, he can't play Astro Rifle right now, but he doesn't even need it. He's still at 32, so I'm nowhere near killing him. He could have half of this health, and I still wouldn't be able to kill him. So yep, and the Alexis Nebula comes in. If I was hoping for something, anyhow. So here at this point, it's doomed. There's not much I can do, so I just decided to put him at 30. It's a round amount of health, and I show you guys that you can actually play that. So you learn something thanks to me. Very useful move in some cases when you absolutely mustn't attack with anything. Anyway, So that was game 1, and so I'm thinking, I lost one favorable matchup. So now, I'm going to be facing Perturabo and Vulkan. Either one of these. So, on paper, Vulkan is favored against Perturabo, and Vulkan is obviously tied with Vulkan. Whereas Ahriman is favored against Vulkan, and is not favored against Perturabo. So, I decide to go for Vulkan, but I decide to take the deck hard against the other Vulkan. So let's take a look at the list I used. Double Overage City, because it's also useful against Perturabo, and you never know, maybe he went for the risky bet and went for Perturabo. But it's also useful against Vulkan, just because there is this Volca squad and Vulkan's ability, of course. If I can even use it turn 1 and deny him his first 2-1. One never knows. Okay, so what else do I have? I have double orbital combat. There are 2 uses for that. One, of course, is to create against Perturabo. Second, it's great to delay his Oracle or his Emperor's Wrath. Probably should have played Wandering Side to go with those. It would have been a good idea. Only 1 Storm Eagle, and I realized that I actually should have brought up 2, because he probably won't be playing any anti-stun. I'm going to use one. But like, if he has Oracle up in the late game, maybe I can drop a Fire Drake and then play 1 Storm Eagle alongside it. So, to prevent him to bash into my Fire Drake. Okay, what else do I have? 1 last rifle sections to proc the Ashen Bones in case I get stunned or in case I don't want to use my Warlord for whatever reason. Double supply lines to fish for those Hydras. Again, they can delay the Oracle or the Emperor's Wrath. Like, say for example, I place a supply line, I draw into my Hydra, so I play them on 6, and then he's on 7 because he went first, and he can play Oracle just now. And also, the Ashen Bones is very expensive, so that could be very useful. Volca Squad is always good if I can somehow get a good grip at the board. Jubak Starsight is always an excellent card in mirrors. I mean, almost always. Attack of Videmi, just 1. You know, it's here to protect my troops. But it's not. I'm not gonna be under a lot of pressure, so it's only here to increase the value of a board, but it won't create a board by itself. You know. So only 1, I think it's fair. Double Rastan, and only 1 copy of Emperor's Wrath because I have 6 Astartes, and so 2 will be too much. I don't want the 2-4 for whatever reason. Well, because I don't have room for it. And 1 Additive Censure, it's good against Vulkan. I can put his Oracle at the bottom of his deck, and also against Perturabo, it's excellent, as you know. I also run Remembrance of Order, just so that if I don't get my hammer and I somehow can't delay his, then I can at least copy his and also have 1 and fight with the same weapons, you know? So overall, if I was to change the list, I will put 1 Drink Sight and a 2nd Storm Eagle, probably instead of the last Rifle. I don't know exactly, I'm not sure exactly what's the other card I will remove. But anyway, let's move into the game. So here's my hand, and I do have a very nice curve. I'm feeling like the biggest issue I can face is not having anything to play. So here, since I already have this turn 3, I'm okay with keeping 6 and 7. It's probably better to go for one of those cards to delay his hammer, but again, I have so many of them in my deck that I'm confident enough that I will be able to draw into one of them. But I'm afraid that I can delay his hammer forever, but since I don't have actually anything to play, I just end up losing to board pressure. So I decided to keep this because it's a nice curve. So turn 1, it's all classic. He face bashes here, and then he plays his Chaplain Xavier. So he decides to go for my face instead of going for my 2-1. And I can understand that. I personally would have done the same, because now I can kill his Chaplain for free. But I can understand why he would want to go face. It's important actually to get your opponent as low as you can, especially if you don't have the hammer in your opening hand. Because the one with the hammer is gonna use a very good amount of his health just getting rid of big troops. And so if he's low on health, then it can be an issue for him. So now he kills my own chaplain, which is fine, and I have that nice Malgator to get rid of his Russian squad. So that feels very good. I can also develop my Russian squad and just swing here. I want to keep this thing alive. He might run Bside or anything. If he decides to not play his epistolary back, he really wants to, well, bounce this first as to not take too much damage. And with the command bridge, he probably went for Vulkan. So he wants to spare his health total before he can swing back in terms of world presence with the hammer. Okay, so now I go for the dewback, and I'm using my counter attack because this 1 health on the Malgator might matter. I can see him sending Malgator into the dewback, and then I can take a free value trade. And having a 1-1 is already useful in this matchup. You can always finish up a Russian squad or a Soccer Hunters. Plus, most of the time, if you can use your counter attack as Salamanders to actually heal up your board a bit, then you usually should. Most of the time. I didn't want to think this Perturabo is just 1 health on troop. Probably not gonna make much of a difference. There is already good use here. So I copied the enchant directly with my dewback, and I'm careful to play my own, so that I don't show him that I actually have a second one. So get us at the hammer, it was the card that was here. Not entirely sure so if it was the card fished by command bridge, and that's actually a mistake for me. I should track down what he plays. Here I top deck Remembrance of Order. It's fine. I still have, well, it's only 2 tactics because I still had my own Oracle and my own Remembrance Order in my deck, so I had good chance of finding either one of them with my command bridge. And I could also just play the Fire Drakes and kind of delay. I don't need to fish for Oracle right now. I probably actually would have played it just because if I get my Remembrance Order, I need to play it now, because if he plays any other tactic, then I'm in the sausage. Okay, so here comes the orbital combat, better late than never. And now I can fish for my Emperor's. God, these new graphics, they do look good. They look very, very nice. Like on the command bridge, having those 2 epics and the legendary right in the middle. Yeah, it feels nice. So here, how's the board state? We both have the hammer. And I'm ahead by 1 troop. So now I won't be ahead by 1 troop. I was ahead of that just because, well, he took the time to play it, and now I took the time to do the same. So I developed 1 less troop. He developed 1 less troop, then I developed 1 less. So now you can see that we both have the same amount of health. And here I'm being very lucky that he doesn't have his own Emperor's Wrath. If he did, I'd probably lose this game, because I wasn't able to play my orbital combat this turn because of the Hydra, and you see how important the Hydra is in this matchup. So fortunately for me, I was able to find my own Emperor's Wrath, and I go for that. And here I'm like, what should I trade into? And the idea is that this thing, it's a much more threatening sacrifice, and it's not hard for him to actually proc the sacrifice. If he has, says, for example, Last Rifle or Scorched Earth, like just imagine he plays Scorched Earth, so he swings here, he plays Scorched Earth, he trades there, and then he has anything like another Last Rifle here, or he can finish up something with that. I can lose the game with that. So I'm like, okay, let's play Ravage Seed first, obviously, not gonna matter, but let's just swing into there instead. Malgator is still alive, he's been sitting there, and oh, I see, maybe this is a mistake. This is scary, and good for me, he only gets 2 points of attack, and not 3, and more importantly, he doesn't get Bloodthirst. So, being a bit lucky here, but it's quite unlikely to get +3 attack and Bloodthirst on the Forbidden Protocols. +3 attack is not that uncommon, but like, again, is not guaranteed. You either need a +2 attack, which should be somewhere around 50-50 on the Forbidden Protocol buff, second line, or you need the Mark of Corn, so not that likely. So I had lethal here, sorry for hiding it, I really wanted to explain the odds of that Forbidden Protocol. So it was a very nice game. We saw why the tech was relevant on both sides. And we saw that the Hammer and Emperor's Wrath were mandatory to actually win that match. So now I had to take a break. So the last game was played only a couple hours after that, so we both had time to think our deck thoroughly. But since you're here, I'm not gonna wait an hour, I'm just gonna show it right to you. I decided to bring Ahriman. Why is that so? Because he either brings Vulkan or Perturabo once more. So the thing is, I either bring Exodus or Ahriman, and both it's a 50-50 to have a good matchup or a bad matchup in both cases. Because Exodus is good against Perturabo but is bad against Vulkan, and Ahriman is good against Vulkan but bad against Perturabo. So, I decided to bring Ahriman and to go with a very greedy deck. The good thing with Ahriman is that the tech against Perturabo and against Vulkan is actually not that different. The way you're going to lose some of your games against Perturabo is obviously because he's gonna burst you down before you can do anything. That happens. But most of the time, it's actually because you just run out of steam. Just imagine I'm not playing Hydra or Area. So I have double Doombringer, it's very easy for him to get rid of that. I have Pen to Dust, Izaka Or, like, still very easy, and double Helios Mortar Career. These are the cards you usually want to win with as an Ahriman player. So it's fairly easy for Perturabo to get rid of all that, so I decided to just bring more beef to the table. So I bring up 2 Hydra and Nayas, and also the Area, just because he can still decide to go for Vulkan. I built a deck, a Vulkan deck, that is favored against Ahriman. I mean, I played like 7 or 8 games of this deck against Ahriman, and I won like 6 of them. And I did tell Bside about it. So I'm expecting him to use something like that, like to turn my own creations onto me. So it's not that unlikely that he actually decides to bring up Vulkan. So anyway, I bring up double Ravish City. I also bring up, Markel obviously. I decide to go for 1 Quick Blood. Now this Quick Blood is here to be played on my Pen to Dust. My idea is that if I can play it on Pen to Dust, then he can get Melgatoad and he can get Superior Fire Powered. So I was kinda happy about this deck. This is not my own idea. This is Hyperion Narcissus' idea. All credits to him. Hyperion also ran this card. Let me find it, because I can't remember its name. Neutrino Irradiator. And it's one he used because he knew I would play Vulkan. And that's actually not that bad of an idea. It's actually kinda smart, I think. If I was sure to play against Vulkan, I probably would have tried and fit one. But since I'm not, I decided not to play it, but that's yet another good idea for him. So also I bring only 1 Assault Warfare because it's a dead card against Perturabo. Having 1 is nice to get rid of the barricades on the turn you kill him, but having 2 of them really clogs your hand and it's bad. Double Ocean Blow, it's always useful. 1 because I'm kinda expecting him to play some troops on his Perturabo. Not that many, but like you can still play a couple of them. The full burn version is better against Ahriman, but you never know. And I guess Vulkan it's just mandatory, so I still play 2 of them. Egg of Censure, of course, it's so good against Perturabo if it's a full burn version. The full burn version is a bit worse in tournaments because your opponent is always gonna play that Edict of Censure, so it's very dangerous. Double Pyalphas, of course, double Abandoned Supplies, only 1 Cabal, it's not that good in both matchups. Area, double Hydra, you know all of that. Okay, so let's jump into the last game then. Let's see if Bside can win or if I can win. So here's my hand. Ravage City is very nice, and Marshall is obviously very, very nice too. I go first because I have higher initiative than he does, and the Hydra will be good for later on. My deck is greedy enough, I don't need to keep it in my opening hand. Maybe on ladder I would keep it, but he is not mandatory. So now, first decision. Do I go for Marshall, or do I go for Ravage City and Command Push? This game was very exciting. I cannot highlight how much thinking process I put into it. It was a very good one. So the idea here is that either I go for Marshall or on Patterns of Fate next turn, either I go for Ravage City and Command Bridge now, then Marshall and then Patterns of Fate with 1 extra energy. Let's think this a bit thoroughly. If you just want to see the game, you can speed up things a bit on YouTube. I'm not concerned about that. So the thing is, we want to deny his Warlord ability as much as we can. And Ravage City, if you play it on turn 3, doesn't deny anything. You can just play it, and of course he won't be playing his other cards, but he can still use it and just keep on burning us down. Now if I had the Edict of Censure in my hand, I wouldn't mind, because I could play Marshall on 2, and then Edict of Censure on turn 3. So him using only his Warlord ability in the beginning means he won't play his tactics and that they will return to his deck, so I will be fine with that. But I don't have my Edict here. So if I play the Ravage City now, I deny him his Warlord ability turn 1. And if I play Marshall next turn, he's on 3 energy, and he can't use his Warlord ability and get rid of the Marshall. He needs to choose. And that's what I want to do in this game. I want him to choose. To not make all of the obvious plays. So actually I'm not gonna drop Marshall on 1. Just imagine, if I drop Marshall now, he goes Superior Firepower, anything. Okay, so here, another interesting choice. I have the Supply Lines or the Edict of Censure. Now while I could go for Supply Lines turn 2 and Patterns of Fate on 3, and Edict of Censure turn after, it will be nice, but here I have something better. Now I can force him to get rid of the Lord Marshall. I can punish him if he doesn't get rid of Marshall. So now his ability costs 2 more. It costs 4, so he can't use it. And this is the first win. He wasn't able to do it, so he was forced to go for it. So that's 2 less HP for him and 2 more first. Now I go for the Lord Marshall, because either he uses his ability, either he gets rid of the Marshall. And if he doesn't, then his entire hand goes to hell. Okay? So he uses the counter attack. No superior firepower. Which probably means that he doesn't have it. I think it will still be better to use the superior firepower, so I'm kind of thinking that he doesn't have it. And so I'm gonna take another risky bet next turn. I could go for the Patterns of Fate now, because he played his counter attack already, so his hand just got slightly better. So overall, I should have a better Patterns of Fate than usual. So I could go for that. But we just saw 2 things. 1, he doesn't have superior firepower, and 2, he doesn't have Jewback Starstart. No, 2, he doesn't have the counter attack anymore. So the Jewback is also a pain for him. So I go for that and I precog him, just because I can still play my Ahriman next turn, and if he has this dude, then he can swing into it. Well, bad news for me, he has 2 of them. He keeps on face bashing. So it has been 3 turns already, and he hasn't used his Warlord ability once. So that's 3 health we got as a bonus. He did play a couple of tactics, but I really want to play my Edict of Censure now, because I'm kind of expecting actually that he's playing a full burn version, and we just saw double 5th support squad, so like overall I think that the burn version is something like around 10 troops, maybe a bit less, and we just saw 2 of them. So it's kind of likely that he has a hand with a good amount of tactics. He top decks that. And as he explained me after the game, it's a 50-50 version. He has as many troops as he has tactics. So he had 5 cards in hand, and I think that like 3 of them got discarded, and only 1 sticked. So the turn before, he was at something like 3 troops and 3 tactics, maybe? Or 4, I can't really recall entirely. That's on me. So I high rolled a bit. It's not a tremendously high roll, but it was still a good roll for me. Now, this dude, it's excellent against Ahriman. I would have never thought of playing that card actually, but like, take control of an enemy vehicle. It's just so good against Ahriman, because now I absolutely can't play my mortar. So I go for my Patterns of Fate because I know he has a troop, and I'm hoping it's not just a stupid 2-1 with the barricade, but actually even the barricade will be fine here. It will ignite the attack from this dude for another turn. But this is obviously slightly better. Actually, I'm not even that sure. He will need to top deck something to get rid of the barricade. I mean, he does have plenty of cards to do that, or Virus Bomb, or Precision Bombardments, or even Rock and Ruin, even though Rock and Ruin is the best. Can play Controller into my barricade deck. So I precog this because I'm not expecting to play any other Psychic Power this game, but you never know. It's 3 points of damage here, is a bit awkward. I will be forced to actually try it next turn, and well, that sucks, basically. Okay, so he plays. Oh, let me just mention something. No. Okay, so he plays his Terminator here. It was the card from his from the middle. Here it's very important to keep track of where the cards are put. And if I were Bside, I will actually shuffle my hand. You know, do the... So that I can't keep track of what he has in his hand. Because he has a very low amount of cards in his hand, so it's actually doable for me. Won't say easy, because it's always hard to do that when you focus on your own game. But it's something I can do. Okay, so here, I still don't want to play any vehicles. I don't want to get hurt by this, so I will go for the Izakara, of course. And now, I know that his hand is 1 Terminator on 1 I don't know. So I go for that. And the idea is that if he goes for a Viral Bomb, then I can just finish up his troop with my Doombringer. And here he has the Rock and Ruin to get rid of what I played. Okay. So I can't just swing here, but like, I'm just gonna take 5 to the face, but I would have taken 4 with the Rock and Ruin if he had played it in my face and I had just traded here, and I would have done the same amount of damage to his face. So overall, I'm still happy with my decision to swing face the previous turn. Now I can finally end this, and it's actually... now I'm kind of relieved, but I'm still in danger, you know? And now, a very important thing, this comes from the right. So that means that his last card here is the other Terminator. And this went from the right of his hand, the right part of his hand, and this was on the left, so I'm certain. I wasn't certain because it's always hard to keep track of that. Like, just explaining my previous turn to you, I wasn't able to be sure, but like in the game, I'm pretty sure that this came from the right, so that his hand is actually 1 Terminator. So no Painful Tactic, no Controller, no Virus Bomb, Viral Bomb maybe. So, yeah, overall, I really feel relieved here. So now, what do? I need to kill that, because this is gonna take 1 point of damage, and then this is gonna take another point of damage, so I can't really do anything about it. So I decide I send my Doombringer into it, just because I have chosen lethal no matter what. So here, it's actually interesting. I realize now that I could have killed it with my face and my Chewbacca and my Melgator, but here's why I went for the Doombringer. 2 things to take into account. Firstly, he has a troop in his hands, so it's likely that he has to shoot this with his warlord ability if he wants to survive. Plus, he only plays 1 Rock and Ruin, and he can't just use any other tactics. Like, even Precision Bombardment costs 7, so I could potentially use it there and then send face and top deck Controller. But even if that happens, these 3 HP are gonna matter. And if they don't, if that doesn't happen, I can still go for the Pi Alpha and hit for full, not for full, but like get out of Controller range. Plus, he also has 23 cards in his deck, and only 1 of them is Controller, obviously. So I need to go for the Doombringer here. The other reason why is that if he will struggle getting rid of the Doombringer, which means he can't put in any effort killing the Hydra now. And since he can do that, the Hydra is very likely to swing twice. And if it swings twice, I will have enough damage to kill him no matter what. So I don't need to put these 7 points of damage to the face. Okay, I feel like this was an important explanation. I still swing with my Malgator because it's not a Vulkan, it's probably not gonna matter. Yeah. So here he goes for that. And here he decides to jam that. And that's actually pretty painful. That's painful on one hand, but that's not too painful because I still know that his other card is a Terminator. So I can disrespect this. So now I have a pretty obvious turn. Just swing with the shit generator because yes, that's something I can do. And I can go for that. Just hope for the 50-50. Because even if I miss, I'm at 17. So contra the top deck is 7 plus 5, 12 plus 2, 14 only. And since I know that this other card is a Terminator, he can't kill me. So yeah. So you see that a very small mistake for him, like not playing the card bound by Malgator, it's like it's an abysmal error. It's nothing truly in terms of gameplay. But in this specific case, the game was actually very, very tight despite the edicts. I was still very low, truly living on a knife's edge. And just playing the one that wasn't bound by Malgator, it helped me so much in making the right decisions. So if you win in a very intense game, that's something you can play on. Okay, so this video is already too long. A bit too long, I mean, sorry. So I'm just gonna cut it here. So I do invite you to go for the standings. It's not entirely settled yet of who's gonna move forward and who's not gonna. So stay tuned. I will be back soon with some more content. I will be covering as many games of the players as I can. Okay, goodbye. Take care all.